Because so people by nature want to help. They want to bring value to other people. So what we lack sometimes is the voice to say, hey, does anybody have this resource? Hey, would anybody help me with? Because the universe wants to help. It wants to see you succeed. But sometimes our own ego gets in the way and prevents us from doing that. So like if we eliminate that, here's why I can't out of our lives and go into a mindset of like, why not me? It just switches up the narrative.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
It's not like it's been forever since we've last spoken.
Yeah, like, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been
I
more
think
than a
COVID
year.
just started.
Exactly. It was like March last year or something. Like, yeah, a long time ago. I feel like, I don't know, I've aged by like 10 years.
I know, right?
Oh man, seriously, man. How are you doing? How are you? Because I saw on your Instagram you've been going through some stuff.
Well, it's been quite a ride. So
Yeah.
so since COVID, I launched a retail store. So my attitude was as a mentor, I keep telling people, hey, it's gonna be okay. Hey, it's gonna be okay. But I wasn't in the trenches with my
Hmm.
founders.
Hmm.
So yeah, my business partner and I, we were like, okay, where does the biggest opportunity lie? And so we identified a market. We signed a lease. We opened up a retail store, and yeah, it's been thriving since its launch, which has been really exciting to be a part of and see.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the you're selling it's like a
So we
clothing brand, right?
yeah, so we do like so the attitude was as entrepreneurs, we have to identify like where are the biggest opportunities.
Hmm.
So COVID hits, everything shuts down. But here in Los Angeles, there's still these massive lines for people trying to buy exclusive sneakers, luxury streetwear, or vintage clothes. So we identified that that wasn't happening in a particular neighborhood. We created a brand, we launched it, and the model has really been community first. And I think that that's what's allowed us to thrive is to be able to focus on community.
Like I saw on Instagram that there's this one program you're involved with, learning to lose.
Yeah, so that's been really exciting. The whole brand of learning to lose.
Hmm. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So prior to COVID, so there's this guy in my community,
Hmm.
Patrick Rich, and this guy is an amazing individual. He started a band that thrived. Him and his wife have gained TikTok celebrity, and so he has this brand called Learning to Lose.
Hmm.
So his attitude is everyone is so focused on winning that when we do lose, we take it very personal. So what his brand has set out to do is to help community identify that, look, it's okay to lose. So within his walk, he went and launched a sober living house, which was really exciting to like see as his friend. And so when right before they opened their doors to the community, his CEO stepped away.
Hmm.
So he asked me, hey, Greg, can you come in and help us out?
Hmm.
So my background is in startups and scaling tech companies. So now here I am helping my friend bring his sober living house to life. And so that's been such an exciting ride. So yeah, that's the whole learning to lose hashtag that you see on there is us pushing that movement of recovery. It's okay to lose. You're gonna be okay, and it's just a team of us inspiring people, which has been again really exciting to be a part of. So in the tech world, we're so used to like moving products forward, moving companies forward, right? And
Hmm.
people do matter. But here in this with this particular project, like it's really about the people. So these people are seeking to better their lives. They're trying to stay sober. So for a tech guy to get pulled into that world has been an amazing experience.
Yeah, and I mean, geez, I know so many people, including myself, that I'm not always 100%. Like you can't always be 100%, and I've had my ups and downs. Like I've had a lot of downs last year also, where I didn't have it, and like I was actually beating myself up a bit because I still remember when we were talking a year ago, and I was like, okay, so I just started this podcast. How do I grow this podcast? And you were like, okay, in the beginning, you got to hustle. You got to, like DM and call hundreds of people to make it grow in the beginning. And like, I wasn't doing it. And I was like, oh, fuck. But Greg, he said, like, I got to do this. And I started to beat myself up. And then I was like, hang on, but like, do I just want to not put in the work because I'm not actually about this podcast, or am I just lazy? And I actually took a couple months off from the podcast, and it's only toward the end of 2020 that I really got back into it and really doubled down, hired a part-time editor. And real talk, it's really the part-time editor that gives me the structure and I can't let her down. Now it's no longer about me. It's no longer a selfish thing. Like, I want to talk to all those, great minds and learn from them. Now it's like, I actually have someone on my payroll. I actually have to take care of her. And now it's like, it's becoming about, just this one other person that I can't let down. And now I'm like all about this podcast. I've done dozens of podcasts and like, it's going great.
I love it. So you doubled down on yourself is what it sounds like. You were like, you know what, let me invest in myself. Let me put my money where my heart is. So a lot of times as founders, that's where we tend to like, I don't even want to say the word slip up, but like lose faith in self, right?
Mm.
But that accountability of that other person is crucial. That's why when people invest in startups, they tend to invest in startups that have co-founders.
Mm.
Because of that type of accountability. So having somebody hold you accountable, even if you have to pay them to hold you accountable, is very important to scaling your business or idea.
Yeah, man. It's like, because it's so lonely, especially when you can't meet up in person. So like, you're literally on the other side of the planet right now. And like, personally, because I'm such a people person, I think this will be 10x better face to face. But obviously this is better than, not talking. But I do sometimes feel like I'm sitting here in Europe in my little, like, because Europe is very like, structured like that. There's not a lot of like people that are like doing their own thing over here. And yeah, so it's nice to talk to people like you to kind of like get that that energy,
Right. Well, let's go back to like when during our first interview. So during our first interview, I was suffering from like I was seeking my identity. So I had just been this Hub 101 guy helping entrepreneurs with my entrepreneurship center. And all of a sudden, that's not me anymore. So I had a like self-discovery again, right? So like during our last podcast, like I was going through that period of like, who am I? And it was really refreshing to like take that period and identify like, where do my passions lie? Like, what am I good at? Where can I bring value to the universe? So it was me keeping an open heart that brought this project Milk Room into my life. Like, we were just sitting around and we were like, where do opportunities lie? And like, now I couldn't think of my life without the Milk Room, because we've been a place where we inspire artists, musicians, designers, and it's been really cool to become that like cultural mecca in Los Angeles. So it's really cool. When we last spoke, I had no idea what life had in store for me, but my attitude was like, keep faith, keep moving forward, and watch things happen. So the universe just brought these amazing people into my life to help me bring this to life. So like in your case, the universe bringing this person into your life, right, to help you out with your podcast, and then that person was able to level you up.
Yeah.
Without that being your request from them. Your request wasn't level me up, but their presence allowed you to stay accountable, be in the moment, and deliver what they need to get their job done.
100%, man. 100%. And can you talk to me a bit more, or like to us, about this, this journey? Like, how did you, find out what you're good at? What did you do? Because it seems like you did a lot. And
Right.
Can you talk about that process a bit?
Totally. So for me, it always starts with allowing myself time for myself. So if I'm constantly moving at 100 miles per hour, while the universe loves that, my mind and my body doesn't appreciate that. So what a period like COVID did is it allowed me to reset my mind, right? To do the things that I'm interested in. So like playing basketball in the morning, a little meditation, creating rituals. So then that allowed my true self to be present. So what that did is it prepared me for a project, for any project. So in this case, it was the milk room that it prepared me for. So it was like, all right, take care of myself. I don't know where I'm headed, but if I treat myself with respect, if I treat myself right, awesome things are going to happen. Because in moments like that, it's easy to fall into like depression, sadness, anger, right? But that's not going to serve the universe. What's going to serve the universe is me operating out of a state where my heart is pure. And so, as cliche as it is, it's allowing ourselves as people that moment of stillness, right? So that we can then identify, like, wow, this is where a passion of mine lines. Wow, like you look up and you're like, wow, I've been doing this thing for so long and now it's bringing fruit into my life. It's when amazing things happen when we allow ourselves that moment of like reset in our lives, right? So, like, if any of your listeners are going through a period right now where they're unsure as to who they are or what their next move is, I would highly encourage like meditation and stillness to help you come to the conclusion of what your next play is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is like, I've been beating this, horse to death over months now, but like, this has like saved me. I do like an hour in the morning every day. And like, without that, I'm like a mess. Like, I'm like, whenever I don't meditate, like I feel like very on edge, and I end up biting my nails and stuff like that. But on the days I meditate, I'm chill. I'm so chill, and I'm like just going to the park and just like smiling, like almost looking like too happy to be true, like it's like I'm just like, I'm just looking at the flowers and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know
Right. So how beautiful is that? Is that you get to choose that stillness in your life, right? So whether you allow yourself like 3 minutes or 30 minutes of just meditation, letting your mind and body just reset, right? How all that is a choice. And to me, that's what excites me about life, is how life is all cumulative choices. Like the choices that we make lead up to this moment, right? So I find that really refreshing, that it ultimately comes down to like my free will in life. And like I get to choose how I spend my time, who I spend my time with. And so those two things there are what's going to dictate my today and my future. So it's really refreshing. So that's why when friends like you reach out and they're like, hey Greg, let's connect, I'm like, absolutely. Because it's that iron sharpening iron, or that you water me, I water you kind of relationship that we get to choose in life, which has been really cool.
100%. 100%. Let's maybe switch gears a little, because I know like a lot about tech and business, and I've been getting a lot into digital health as well as the crypto space lately. And those are really like the two areas where I really want to make a difference. And when I see myself in those two areas over the next 10, maybe 20 years even. But I'm a bit like, I code for money right now. But like I really want, like, because I feel in life we only have like maybe a couple of big things that we can do really well. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 5, but like I mean, you've founded this mega successful business. That shit takes a lot of work, and years of your life as well. So how can I sort of figure out? So I have narrowed it down to those two fairly big areas. How can I kind of like figure out how to really pick the thing, and then make sure like to stick with that thing over, say 5 years, or to really get somewhere meaningful?
So I'm a fan of customer validation when I'm trying to bring an idea to life. So in your case, what I would do is I would go out there and talk to people to see what problems they're currently facing, right? So when you're talking about healthcare and crypto, I'm automatically thinking of like, wow, like I should be able to tokenize like my health records.
Oh fuck. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, actually.
You know?
Like, yeah.
So like this is what this does, right? Creating that dialogue, talking about like, okay, here's a space I'd like to go into. So talk to more people like me until you identify like wow, this sounds like a great opportunity. So now I'm going to go validate it with the people that face that problem before I build anything.
Uh-huh.
So if you're out there, you have an idea for a business, I'm going to say, go out there and talk to 50 people that face this problem you're trying to solve. And then see how they're currently solving it and see if they're willing to pay for someone to solve this problem for them. Again, before you build anything, so you don't build on assumptions.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And then, so if I want to validate this tokenizing health data thing, do I go to doctors? Do I go to hospitals? Do I go to healthcare providers?
So wouldn't it be nice to identify like 10 people from each one of those segments to see who has that biggest pain point and then serve them?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So that's the game I like to
yeah.
that's the game I like to play, right? Like identify like who's facing this problem and let's go talk to this group, and from this group let's segment out, maybe it's just the doctors but not the healthcare organization, right? That are facing this problem. So yeah, customer validation is going to be a huge part of bringing any idea to life.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. And kind of like tangential to this, what are things in healthcare and crypto right now that you are really excited about right now?
So right now in healthcare, what's happening is, especially with the immunization of COVID, is they're going to standardize your records, right? So I foresee like me going to the airport and having to show like an immunization record of some sort. So how all my medical history is going to be put into my phone, right? And what's that going to look like? What's that going to feel like? And then in terms of the crypto space, NFT space is really exciting right now. I got friends out there creating NFTs and making it happen. So it's really beautiful to see like the different worlds that come out of this one genre, right?
Yeah. It's like the Wild West with NFTs right now. I mean, I feel like I'm like, it's such a wild card what's going to happen with them, because like there's so many people making NFTs.
Right. Now, are you familiar with BitClout yet?
Oh, for sure. This is one of my questions actually, because I just saw you signed up like today or something.
Right. So that's a trip. Like the whole concept of BitClout, right? Like allowing yourself to learn something you're not familiar with, right? So I remember like logging onto the BitClout platform and being like, what's going on here? So all it took was me jumping into the right clubhouse room, and like I was able to get walked through the whole process of like what it is, how it works. So that's really refreshing about the times that we live in today, is how available information and smart people are.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's so refreshing that I can fire up my phone, go onto a platform like Clubhouse and go learn from like industry leaders real time and be able to ask questions. Like we're in an exciting time right now.
Yo, you remember last year ago, Clubhouse just got started.
Right. And now here we are, bro.
I know, right? And now like they just turned down like what, 4 billion or something?
No big deal. So it's an exciting time that we're in. So like, yes, we're going through a pandemic right now, but that doesn't mean that there's not opportunity out there for people. So people that are just sitting out there waiting for things to get back to normal, like this is our new normal. And now is the time to take action on that idea, on that project, on that call, on that email. Like now is the time, which is again a really exciting time to be in.
Yeah, man.
Everyone's
100%.
accessible. Everyone's accessible right now, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's crazy also with cold emails. I'd been limiting myself, kind of like thinking, no, I can't, send an email to such and such, but then it's like, no, hang on. Worst case is like, they're going to ignore the email, so right. Let's just send the email.
So how's that been working out for you?
Yeah, I only really started doubling down on that like real hard, to be honest. So there's like a couple of quote unquote competing podcasters in my space that I'm not going to call out, but they got a couple of bigger names on. And now I'm like, because I'm like, I'm all about competition. So now I'm like, okay, if they're getting those bigger names on, like I'm gonna have to, one up them now. So I started going real hard on the cold emails and booked a couple of exciting people for the next, 2-3 months, and going really well, because in my mind, I'm just saying 1 in 100, and it's not 1 in 100. It's more, it's significantly more than I'm getting. But it's like, I keep, this mantra in myself, in my brain, in my mind, like 1 in 100. And then sometimes it's, 1 in 50, maybe it's 1 in 20. But like, I always basically, uh, 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 what is it? Like you know what I mean?
You one up yourself. You're constantly
Exactly.
trying to raise that bar for yourself. But isn't that cool? So like I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and we were talking about the fear of jumping off a cliff. So most recently, my buddy took a trip to Hawaii, and he was like, "Man, I was standing at the edge of this cliff, getting ready to jump into the water, and the amount of fear that and self-doubt that sank into my heart. But then what helped me jump is knowing the fact that people before me and after me will jump in this water and enjoy the moment for what it is, right? As scary and exciting as it is, me falling into the water, that sensation of me like hitting that water and popping back out, right? Like he was like, I'm not going to deny myself that because of my own limiting beliefs. So I'm really proud of the fact that you were like, you know what, let me send these emails out. Let me continue to raise the bar for my business, because at the end of the day, if you're not your biggest cheerleader, if you're not your biggest motivator, like you're fucked. That's it, right? Like we have to believe in ourselves
Yeah.
wholeheartedly and utilize our network, right? So like if you were like, hey Greg, do you have any exciting guests that I could book on my show? My Rolodex is going to open up to you. So that's scalable, right? The past people that you've interviewed or that you've interacted with, to be like, hey, do you know any amazing people that would be great guests on my show? And that power of that referral will send the message home.
100%. 100%. I will take you up on that for sure.
You should. Because so people by nature want to help. They want to bring value to other people. So what we lack sometimes is the voice to say, hey, does anybody have this resource? Hey, would anybody help me with? Because the universe wants to help. It wants to see you succeed. But sometimes our own ego gets in the way and prevents us from doing that. And again, it comes down to self and it comes down to choices, which I found amazing.
Yeah.
And then the fact that we get the same 24 hours as people that we admire and respect, right?
Yeah.
So like I was talking to this one friend of mine, and he was talking to me on how he did not have time to do this one thing that meant a lot to him. So I reminded him that Elon Musk is not only digging holes underground, putting people on Mars, providing electricity and vehicles to people, right? So I was like, bro, you've got the same 24 hours as this man does. Like, utilize the resources, utilize your team, build out your team. Don't have resources or a team, reach out and ask for that. So you have the same 24 hours in the day as your mentors, as the people that you most respect and admire. So don't sell yourself short is ultimately what it comes down to.
Yes. And like, I would say, I wouldn't say I'm a low confidence person. And even I have those struggles. So for a lot of people, it comes down to like, how do you get that self-confidence? How do you instill that self-confidence? Especially if maybe you don't have a lot of people, believing in you in your, your neighborhood or where you grew up. There's something I've been thinking about a lot because, growing up in Germany, I'm certainly, privileged. I didn't, I could have, grown up, I don't know, in Africa.
Right.
So like I didn't, that was pure luck. And now I have to, make the most of it. But like, I'm just thinking, like yourself, how can we like scale this? How can we reach more people?
So for me, scaling myself, I would credit me coming out of my comfort zone, me going into rooms where there were people smarter than me, me going into scenarios with a heart of, let me bring value to people that I need something from, or to people that I respect and admire. So my attitude has been, when I meet somebody that I really want to be a part of their life or their world, my energy is like, what do you need help with right now? What obstacles are you facing? So by me knowing that, I'm able to either solve a problem for them or connect them to the solution. So guess what? Now I'm a part of that circle, right? So,
Mm.
so if you're lacking that in your life, identify a group of people that are a lot like one of my favorite groups. They're all electrical engineers. And I love this group because they could never have me as a member because I'm not an electrical engineer. But being in that room with people and seeing how their minds work and me being able to contribute to their ideas has been a beautiful thing. So allowing myself to step out of my comfort zone and out of the zone that I know, right? So it's real easy for me to be attached by my surroundings. But if my surroundings aren't leveling me up, it's time for me to go out there and discover and explore new surroundings, right? So think of like the explorers back in the day who were like, wait, what's over that hill? Wait, what's over that horizon? What's across that body of water, right? So we need to be explorers in our own lives. So if we're feeling moments where we're like stuck, unsure, like reach out outside of your network and dive into those worlds. And now with in the universe with places like Clubhouse and Facebook groups, like there's no excuse to not get tied into a community. And if you don't know what your lane is or where you can bring value to, is start getting involved in your community. Identify organizations that are solving problems that you would love to solve and bring them value. So most recently, I had this friend of mine who was like, I want to start a nonprofit that helps feed kids in my community. And I was like, well, that's noble and awesome. Look, these are existing nonprofits that exist that are solving that problem. Why don't you go bring them value? And so that was a lot easier for him to do than to go create this nonprofit, raise money, and try to solve this problem on his own, right? So now
Mm.
this person was able to get dialed into a community that's passionate about what he's passionate about, and he was able to identify like a different problem he can solve within that world. So allowing yourself to be uncomfortable for growth is crucial,
Yeah.
and it sucks because we have to let
Yeah.
go. Because sometimes we have to let go of people, right? So like what I've realized is that it's okay to outgrow people. So sometimes we look into our network of friends and we see people that just aren't living life where they're just not living life to the fullest. And they're constantly hitting us with like negative thoughts or limiting beliefs, right? So those type of people, it's okay to put those relationships on pause to resume your own life and then come back to those relationships. So knowing that it's okay to outgrow people and put relationships on pause is crucial for self-growth and discovery.
Yeah, man. Amen. Amen. Uh, this is something, I've been struggling with also, outgrowing friends and then not wanting to let go also because like you grew up together, right? And it's like it's like at some point, like there just comes a time when you gotta, put yourself first, right? It's the whole like putting the mask on first prior to helping others.
Right. Wow, look at this guy. I like that. No, but that's really important, right? Like if the universe wants me to operate out of my best state, then I have to audit like who am I spending my time with? Where's my time spent? And like how can I maximize my output? So like me, I could count my dear friends on like one hand, and these are people that I confide in, people that I look to for counsel, right? And some of these people don't even know that they're like my mentors or like my gurus in life. But like I have different people for different aspects of my life that I reach out to. And that's been a very important part of my growth is like having these people that I can bounce ideas and pains off of.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, man, it's just so hard to ask for help, especially when you're feeling shitty, especially when you're down and out. I don't know what it is because like rationally, we all know that if we're in a bind, if we're feeling shitty, we got to go ask for help. But it's just so hard to actually do it.
So that's when we have to get our ego out of the way. So it's my ego that's preventing me from asking for help. But my soul desires that help, right? It's like, please, like, let me get people to come in. Let me get comrades involved so they can come in and help me either fight this fight or help me identify like where my strengths lie, right? So it's like, again, it's that self audit. It's that moment of stillness that's going to help remove that ego that prevents me from calling you and saying, hey, Gabriel, I'm having a really bad day. Can I bounce some ideas or feelings off of you? It's my ego that prevents that kind of dialogue.
Right,
Which
because you
is
don't want
also
to.
self.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, because you don't want to like seem weak, right? You don't want to seem needy.
But it's okay to the right people, right? So like in my case, I mentor people throughout the world. So I get those phone calls from people where they're like, I'm not feeling 100% today. And sometimes my friends, all they need is just somebody to listen to them. I don't have to solve problems. I just have to listen. And for the most part, people come to their own conclusion. It's like, wait, I think I figured out how to get myself out of this situation just by vocalizing it with somebody. So again, removing ego and then finding people that you can confide, that you can not confide in, but just talk to, right?
Mm.
Is crucial. So like if anyone is listening to this podcast and they don't have that person in their life, I'm inviting them to slide into my DMs. And if I can't help you out, I'm sure someone in my network is gonna be able to bring your life value so we can get you where you need to be.
Yeah.
And so to
Yeah.
me, that's been a very important part of my life. And it's been a very important like message for me to where my role is to bring value to the universe. And how do I do that? By empowering those around me. Why? Because it makes me more powerful at the end of the day. You know, like we can't hoard all this power and all this knowledge. I need to build up those around me so that we can all thrive together. And living that model, which is what I've been doing for the past few years, has been so beneficial to my life because I'm able to develop true relationships with people, which has been inspiring and so refreshing for me.
What do you say to the person that's like, yeah, but that's cool, Greg, because like, you in a privileged position, but I'm working like 2 jobs and, I'm barely, making ends meet.
So that's the point where we have to learn a skill, right?
Yeah.
So like there's a list for everything out there. So right now, if I Google the highest paying jobs in your city, in your country, in your state, I'm gonna be able to pull up a list. And for us to learn a skill out of these 10 jobs would not be unreasonable, right?
Not
So
a,
now
yeah,
I've
yeah.
learned, so now I can go on Coursera, I can purchase a mastermind, like I can learn anything I desire. So if I'm feeling like I'm stuck or in a rut, I need to, and especially if it's a financial rut, I need to identify, okay, what are industries and trends that are on the rise where I live in my community? And then how can I participate in that? So I've got plenty of friends that have taught themselves how to code through like no code academies. They've taught themselves design through online courses, people that have learned social media marketing campaigns through like the LinkedIn courses that they offer for free. So on LinkedIn, I could go on LinkedIn and learn how to manage social media accounts for free. So now with that knowledge, I'm able to scale myself. I'm able to survive. I'm able to bring value to somebody that's going to pay me for my knowledge. So again, if someone's feeling in a rut, if someone's feeling like, Greg, but like it's easier said than done, you get the same 24 hours in a day than the people you respect and admire, right? We can figure this out and you're going to be all right.
Man, I'm feeling so strongly about this because like that used to be this person, I used to make so many excuses all the time. And I used to be like, yeah, I'm not in the right city, or like, I don't have enough money, or like, I don't know the right people. And it's like all those excuses. And like, now it's just like I'm like over this and I'm actually doing the things and it feels so good. But now like I've leveled up, right? And now there's people like that are still, making those excuses. And like I really want it for them, like I really want them to also level up. But at the end of the day, I can only like, man, again, one of those things. I can only give them like the box, the tools, they have to do the work themselves. So, but it's just so frustrating to see like people you love be struggling with this because like they have like some things, some like roadblocks in their mind almost that they're not willing to overcome, and then they just keep spinning in circles.
Right. So those I call limiting beliefs. Those are beliefs that we've set in our own heart, in our own conscious as to why we can't. So of course the universe isn't going to provide for us. Of course the universe isn't going to give us the life we deserve, because I'm over here thinking, here's why I can't have that. Here's why I can't achieve that. So like if we eliminate that, here's why I can't out of our lives and go into a mindset of like, why not me? It just switches up the narrative. And so when we look at people like the Richard Bransons of the world, so like he started with the record shop. And then like this man owns an airline, owns a phone company, owns, like, if you want to talk about like somebody being in a messed up scenario, like read the Richard Branson biography. Like his upbringing wasn't easy. His resources weren't there. Nothing was given to him. He wasn't in a position to where he could just Google something and identify like, oh, this is the solution to this problem, right? So if people like that can figure life out and thrive, then why can't you? It's that limiting belief. It's that belief that here's why I can't. So like, let's start there, right? Let's shake that out of your system. And let me show you like why you're the ideal person to solve this problem. And if your limiting beliefs continue, then it's time for me to move on from this friendship. Because then that person becomes toxic. Right? We've all had that friend that we share ideas with them and they tell us, here's why it won't work. And while that's fine every now and then, all the time isn't going to be beneficial for us.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure, man.
But how cool is that? It's all choices at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like our success, our sorrows, our happiness are all choices that we have done that lead up to this moment. Like recently somebody messed me up and they were like, hey, Greg, you're on your last life. So like I'm at a party and this lady walks up to me and she's like, oh, when's your birthday? What time were you born? She's like getting all this data from me. And she was like, oh yeah, you're on your last life. And I'm like, wait, what? Who invited you here? Like, who are you? And like, I don't know if she was being serious or not, but I took it to heart.
Yeah.
To where I was like, wait, if this is my last life, this moment right now has been the moment I've been waiting for my entire life. Am I shortchanging myself or am I giving it my best? Because it's easy to operate through life in default mode, right? Wake up, brush your teeth, pour a coffee, go about your day. But it's another thing when you're like, you know what? Let me truly give it my best. Let me overachieve for the sake of me today. And it's awesome, man. Like when that mind shift shifted in my heart after that lady told me I was in my last life, I was like, you know what? I have to give it my best. Like that moment I've been waiting for my entire life is now. That tomorrow is today. So then it hit me, would a 16-year-old me be inspired and want to hang out with myself where I'm at right now? And if not, what do I need to do to level up? So like imagine a 16-year-old you, Gabriel, if he was sitting across from you, would he be like, wow, this is an inspiring person. This is somebody that I want to be like when I grow up. Or like, this old guy, what does he know about life? Like, let's just keep it moving, right?
Yeah, dude, like I just turned 27 couple weeks ago and I feel like so old.
Right. So imagine like a 15-year-old you. Would a 15-year-old you be proud of you, be inspired by you? Like, and you don't have to answer that. Just keep that in your heart,
Yeah.
right? And then we operate out of that state of like, wow, I'm doing this for the younger version of myself so that the older version of myself can thrive.
Yeah. Yeah. And then on the other side, right? Also, will the 80-year-old, would the 80-year-old me be happy with where I'm at right now? Because
Right.
like the 80-year-old Gabriel doesn't want to have, any like major regrets.
Yep. So then again, how cool is that it's all choices in life that we make? No one makes choices for us. Like, yes, people will contribute to the choices that we make, but ultimately, like every choice we make is ours to make. So that's why I'm a fan of developing rituals and routines for ourselves, just to be a better version of ourselves, right? So like to me, like morning stillness is huge. Not reaching for my phone as soon as I wake up in the morning is huge. But like these are rituals that I've developed to help me be the best version of myself. Because it's really easy to wake up, reach for your phone, and start scrolling and seeing lives you want to live, bad news, or like, that's not an ideal way of starting off, in my opinion, my day. So I get the choice of creating rituals for myself. So like for listeners out there that are feeling like, wow, my life doesn't feel like I'm living with purpose. My life doesn't feel like I'm out there achieving my goals. Well, let's look at what your rituals are. Let's look at how you start your day, how you end your day. And like, let's start developing rituals there.
You're so like, I don't know. I just love your presence. I know I'm not there in real life, but you just like, you radiate this energy, and like I'm just receiving it over here, and like it's just giving me like positivity and like energy. Yeah, that I can't put it differently. Like you're giving me like all this energy, and I'm just like on like a different, like frequency or something. Thank you.
Isn't that what we're supposed to do to our friends though, and people that we care about? Like, let's continuously level up our friends. Like, let's stop this like ridiculous narrative that we've created of like, so like, I went from like asking people, how's your day, to what's been your favorite part of today? Because I'm tired of like the answer of, oh, my day is good. Is it though? Is it really good? No. Let's talk about your favorite part of today. So then what that does in your mental Rolodex, you're going through like amazing moments in your day. You're like, wow, that walk I took with my friend was my favorite part of today. Or that moment I solved that problem, right? So like how we dialogue with other people is really important, right? So it's nowadays it's rare when you hear me ask people like, how was your day? Because ultimately I really don't care. Like talk to me about like, what did you enjoy today? Or like, what did you learn today, right?
Yeah.
So we have that choice to change the narrative with the people we surround ourselves with. So
Exactly.
be
And
that,
you put them in a good mood too, because they're like triggering like the happy, the happy memories.
right? So that's a little hack, that I've implemented into my life, to where instead of asking people, how's your day? Like, nah, what have you enjoyed today? Or what's been your favorite part of today? And it just causes this beautiful effect,
I like that.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, our responsibility to the universe is to live in excellence. That's it. That is all the universe. That is the universe's expectation of us. Just live in excellence. And what's cool is that excellence is subjective. So your definition of excellence is different than mine. So your responsibility is to live in your excellence while you allow me to live in mine. And they're going to be different. They're going to be different. But if we're both operating out of a state of excellence, talk about bringing value to the universe, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You just
So
have me
that's why
smiling.
so that's why like my favorite part of life is like being able to choose who I surround myself with, who I invest in, who I spend time with, right? So like I'd rather be by myself than with a large portion of the population out there. Because if I'm by myself, I know it's going to allow me to level up, go learn something, go contribute to something, or go enjoy something, right?
Yes. 100%.
Wait, I'm excited for your podcast. Like when we first spoke, you had just launched this thing, you were getting up and running. And then when you started like promoting it again, how receptive was the universe to your message?
Yeah, really receptive, actually. Really receptive, I must say.
So we've been waiting for this, but it's been you that's been preventing this, right?
Yeah, I was in a way like self-sabotaging.
How cool is that though? Because imagine if I would have been sabotaging you, then that really would have been messed up. Like if another person was like, no, not yet, no, not yet. But in this case, it was you.
Yeah.
And to me, I find that so empowering that I get to create my own obstacles as well. Like if someone else creates obstacles for you, that's a bad person. But if we create obstacles for ourselves, like we're not an evil bad person. Like come on, like let's be real here, right?
Yeah.
So like that self accountability of like, wow, like I really need to like shake that negative thinking out of my spirit, out of my body, out of my mind. How do I do that? Let me sit in stillness. Let me surround myself with inspired people. Let me learn a skill. Because to me, that's the thing. When people stop learning, like something happens. Like I'm on the constant quest of like, wait, what is an NFT? What is a big cloud? Like, let me dive into different worlds and learn about it and not be like that jaded old man who's like, oh, that's for the kids. No, no, no. I need to be in the trenches. I need to identify like, wait, how do you upload an NFT? Where do you buy an NFT from? Like, how does this work? You know, like I need to learn that so that then I can like share that knowledge with other people.
100%. 100%, man. 100%, man. Do you have any like parting words, anything you want to like, I don't know, speak your mind?
Totally. So this time last year, they had just locked down our city. I was going through this emotional roller coaster of like, who am I? What value am I bringing the universe? And it was scary. It was lonely. It was sad. But what I took is I took the approach of life being like a campfire, right? So I identify a passion, I identify an opportunity. My responsibility is maybe I start with bringing dry leaves to the fire, and then I find a bigger log, and then I find a bigger log, and then I find little twigs, and I just keep feeding this fire to where it eventually becomes this roaring, uncontrollable fire that lives in our heart that we've taken action towards, right? And I didn't know that this was going to lead to me opening up a retail store, but I'll tell you right now, there's nothing else I'd rather be doing right now. But it was me feeding the fuel of like, okay, where do my passions lie? Identifying opportunities, solving problems, bringing value to people. So let me keep doing that, and the universe is going to present a project to me. It's going to present the right people to me. Am I the smartest guy? No. Am I the fastest guy? Strongly doubt it. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep making moves towards that best version of myself, and I'm not going to stop.
Yeah. And it seems about energy, right? It seems like you intuitively understand where you get energy from, and then you like double down on that, right?
We have to, right? Because it's easy for us to live the opposite of that. And we've already seen that movie and it doesn't work. It leads us into holes of depression, unsatisfaction, unfulfillment, right? So I'm striving to like live that best version of me. And what I mean by that is not just presenting like the fun parts or the awesome parts of my life, because me being the best version of me is going to entail pain. Growing hurts. Growing is going to be tough, but it's how I deal with that that's going to see me through that situation, because quitting is the easiest thing we can do. But seeing things through is hard. And that's where people thrive, is when they see things through. It's easy to quit. That's the easy way. But like seeing things through, right? Figuring it out. Like how many shots did someone like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant miss? Right? Like we have to think about that, and we have to be okay with that. Like it's okay for me to miss shots. I will fail. But it's all about how I bounce back from that failure that's going to make the difference. So like in the case of like a Kobe Bryant, the Mamba mentality where this man would out practice everybody. The amount of time he spent in the gym perfecting his craft would put all his peers to shame. Even at the top of his game, someone like Tiger Woods, at the top of their game, they changed their golf swing because they realized that they could make them a better player. At the top of his game, he's like, you know what? Let me change my golf swing because I know I can be better. So that's awesome. That self-audit of like, you know what? I'm going to design a life where I'm unstoppable, where I accomplish things, but I know it's going to hurt. It's going to take sweat, and it's going to take discipline.
But then you're not going to have any regrets at the end, though.
Imagine that.
Exactly.
80-year-old you would be like, good job, son. Good job. 16-year-old you is going to be like, wait, I need to hang out with that guy because he makes things happen. He's living a life that I aspire to live.
Exactly.
So for your listeners out there, you're right. Do it for the 80-year-old version of you, and then do it for the 16-year-old version of you.
Dude, that's like, I'm a tweet this right now.
Right? Because it's so cool. Because like, so it's easy to be like, I'm going to do this to make my parents proud. I'm going to do this to make my partner proud, right? No. Let's start with self. Fill your cup up. Like recently, somebody turned me on to this awesome quote where they're like, what's the difference between like and love? If you like something, if you like a flower, you pluck it. If you love a flower, you water
Ooh.
it. So water yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's so easy to like neglect ourselves, right? Wondering why
Yeah.
the universe isn't giving us what we deserve because we're not loving ourselves. And what does that mean? It's like that means living a life that where we feel purpose, we feel passion, we're bringing value to people. And it could be like the smallest things, like holding the door for somebody. Like what a great feeling that is, right? When you're walking into somebody, you take a moment to take another person into account. You're like, oh no, here, please go ahead. Like that person can't help but smile, and then you can't help feel but satisfied. So it's like those small actions turn into like this enormous feeling in our hearts of bringing value to the universe. And then no one cares that you're having a bad day. And I'm not saying that your bad day is not important, but like no one cares. So our responsibility is to live in excellence and to identify like, how am I going to get out of this rut? Who can I talk to? What resources are available to me so that I don't feel this way?
All right, but like, let me give you pushback on this though.
Let's do it.
So if you have a bad day, because I know
Right.
you also get bad days. We all get bad days.
Right.
Yeah. What do you
You know
do
what,
to
kind of like bad moments?
Uh-huh.
What do I do is I identify that what just happened should not define my day. So if I'm hit with an obstacle, if I'm hit with a truth that I don't like, if I'm hit with uncomfortableness, how I react is going to dictate how good of a leader I am. So when you said, oh, if you have a bad day, my immediate response was, no, I don't have bad days. I have bad moments. Because I'm not going to let that carry throughout my day. I'm going to say, wow, I really messed up. How do I solve this? Or, wow, like this caused me to feel a certain type of way. How do I make sure that I don't feel this way anymore? Right? So like in relationships with people, right? So like this buddy of mine yesterday was like, Greg, you don't say the word sorry enough. And I'm like, the word sorry has lost meaning to me because it's such a default and like response to when somebody does something, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Where my reaction would be, just don't do that again. Don't apologize to me, just don't do that again. You know, so again, it falls into that world of like, I'm not having a bad day, I'm just having a bad moment. And how am I going to react with that bad moment? And am I going to let it affect it's not fair to my entire day.
And like, are you able to like get out of your own head and like kind of like take a bird's eye view and like snap out of that?
Oh, so that is so hard for me to do, but it's so important for me to do, right? So that's going to take discipline. So most recently, I self-audited myself. And I was like, okay, identify a moment where I was overachieving and giving life 110%. What was I doing then? What was I focused on? What were my daily routines? And how is that different than today? So like in my case, I identified, so like there was this stretch where I was just like overachieving, but in the mornings I would wake up and go play basketball for 45 minutes. So like, let me do that to continue into that overachieving mode, right? So for me, it did something physically and mentally to go out there and shoot hoops for 45 minutes. And that all stemmed from like me being embarrassed playing a basketball game. So I'm out there playing basketball with my friends and I can't make a shot for the life of me. So I'm like, you know what? I need to dedicate like 45 minutes of my day and just practice shooting this ball so this doesn't happen again. But then that turned into like my body appreciating that, my mind loving that moment of like activity and fresh oxygen into my brain, right?
Yeah.
So it's cool, like that self-audit, like, am I really giving it my best? And what would giving it my best look like? Okay, let me do that. Especially when you're in a state of like depression, when you're in a state of like limiting beliefs, where you're like, wow, I'm not smart enough to do this. It's like, no. Let's change your mindset. Let's change that narrative you've created in your head. And it's like, why not you? Why wouldn't Gabriel be the #1 podcast in the universe? Like, why not? So like, what do we have to do to get there? And like, let's feed that fire every day. bad moments, like bad things will happen, but it's all about how we react.
Yes.
So I learned the tuck and roll. So
Tuck
like
and roll.
the tuck and roll. So when you're riding a horse and the horse bucks you off, like the horse goes crazy and you get knocked off the horse, instead of you landing flat, you're supposed to like curl up, just tuck and roll, and boom, you bounce right back. It's a controlled way of falling, you know?
Yes. Yes. I like that. I like that. And I like the thing about habits. And I like I would add to that, like kind of like identifying what people that have achieved already what you want to achieve, and like to do those behaviors. Like,
Success leaves clues.
exactly.
So just mirror success, right? Like information is so readily available to us. So like a few nights ago, I was like, wow, like let me learn about BitCloud. And I found myself in a room with one of the creators of BitCloud. You know what I'm saying? On Clubhouse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's how readily available information is.
Yeah.
But it's me taking that leap of faith of like, oh, let me use this platform that's brand new, that's foreign, and like let me like, figure out how to work with this and let me contribute and bring value to that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you've got this. Like if anyone's listening to this podcast and they're feeling unsure about like their journey right now, like first you have to know that they are not alone. The rest of the universe is going through this with you. So it's our responsibility to be the light to other people, especially ourselves, right? So like in my case, like let my cup over water. So let me be that individual that I respect and I admire before I leave my house. Let me get all my rituals done. So when I go outside, I can be the light to others because others are the light to me as well. So I have to contribute to the system, right? I just can't receive and not contribute. So like this buddy of mine was recently dealing with depression. And I was like, why? He's like, I have no purpose. I feel like I have no purpose in life. My career was taken from me. Well, what kind of value do you like bringing people? Oh, I like working with kids and just like helping kids out. So he went and volunteered with this local nonprofit that's helping kids with their homeworks and their schoolwork throughout COVID. So that allowed him to identify, so that allowed him to to feel like he's bringing value to the universe. So then his mindset shifted to where like he's bringing value, the universe is going to give him the life he deserves. And so now he was able to build a team and start this project and identify like, wow, like now, like I'm able to like work with my team and like bring something to life. Where like before him volunteering, before him bringing value, it was like, why is the universe not doing anything for me? It's like, no. What are you doing for the universe? Like go out there, roll up your sleeves, like bring value and the universe is going to reward us.
Yeah.
And it could be like just a little thing. Like it could be like me moderating a room or like me connecting people, just bringing value. Like the universe rewards that so beautifully.
Thank you.
Like what you're doing here, the value you're bringing to the universe with your content, like the universe is going to reward you for that. You know, we have people that tapping into your podcast that are like listening and they're walking away with gems. The work that you put into it, the investment you've made into yourself to hire somebody for your podcast, the universe sees that. And it's going to react to that in such a beautiful way for you. And if it's not with this podcast, it'll be with future projects where you're like, okay, now I know what I need to do. I need to build out my team. I need to eliminate self-limiting beliefs. And I need to bring value and build community.
Exactly. And if it's not directly this podcast, maybe it's someone that I'm going to meet because of you, who I'm going to like work with. And like, then it would all go back to the podcast, because without the podcast, I wouldn't have met you. So then like, it's the whole, like, you can only connect the dots afterward thing.
Ain't that beautiful? Because you created that. Like if not for the podcast, you and I probably would have never connected. You know what I'm saying? You and all the people that you've interviewed probably would never connected. And now like you have a special place in our heart. So like now if Gabriel sends me an email, if Gabriel sends me a direct message, I'm going to read it. I'm going to respond with joy and happiness because you bring value to the universe. Is how it works. Because I get a lot of DMs where people are like, hey, Greg, I need money. Hey, Greg, I need this. Hey, Greg, I need that. Hey, Greg, I need this. which is fine because it's few people that bring the universe value the way that you do. So just keep it up, keep building out your team, keep putting out awesome content, and know that it doesn't happen overnight. To me, that's one of the most beautiful quotes ever. I don't know who it was. They were like, my overnight success took 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like us feeding that fire every day that's going to eventually turn into something. So like my advice for people out there is like, don't lose hope. Like just keep making moves and keep building your team out, right?
Yes.
But you've got this, family. You've got this.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. All right. I'm gonna be cognizant of your time. I'm gonna let you go.
Awesome.
Yes. Oh man. Thank you so much. Thank you so
much.
much.
But have a good night, okay?
All right. You have a fantastic day. Thank you.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening. If you like the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes or Spotify, and share the episode with someone you know. It would really help me out a ton. New podcast coming out every Monday. See you next week.